Invoicing is what starts your cash cycle, but it still has to go out quickly, it has to be compliant, and you need to know where it stands. In this guide, we start from scratch. We set up the client and your legal details, we create an invoice, we send it, we record the payment, and we track the receivables that drag on. And you will see that all of this feeds your accounting without you entering a single journal entry. Before your first invoice, there are two settings to make once and for all. The first is your client list. In the Clients tab, you create your client with their name, address, company identifier, and contact details. That list will feed your invoices, and you will never retype an address again. The second setting is the Configuration tab. This is where you enter what must appear at the bottom of every invoice: your legal form, your share capital, your registration number, your tax identification number, your trade register reference, if applicable, and a free text field for anything your regulations require. Just below, your bank details, the bank, the IBAN, the BIC, and your payment instructions. One important point for those outside France: CassKai adapts the labels to your company's country. An Ivorian or Guinean file will not display French wording. Finally, your logo is uploaded once from the company settings, and it is picked up automatically at the top of every invoice. With these three settings done, your invoices come out compliant without you thinking about it again. Now, the invoice itself. Invoices tab, New Invoice. The first thing you notice is that the number is already filled in. CassKai generates it for you in the format FAC, the year, then a 4-digit counter. Your first invoice of the year will therefore be FAC 2026-0001. That counter belongs to your company alone, and it is assigned atomically, which means there is never a gap and never a duplicate, even when several people invoice at the same time. You then pick your client from the list, and their details and address are pulled in automatically. You set the invoice date and the due date, and it is the due date that will drive your overdue alerts. Then you add your lines, the description, the quantity, the unit price, and the applicable VAT rate. The net total, the tax, and the gross total are calculated as you go. You save. Your invoice exists with the status draft. Draft is your safety net. As long as the invoice is a draft, you can correct it freely, and at any moment, the PDF preview shows you exactly what your client will receive, with your logo, your legal details, and your bank details. Your invoice is ready. Now it has to go out. On each line, an Actions menu gathers everything you can do. Send by email opens a preview of the message before sending, with the invoice attached. If you prefer to send it yourself, you download it as a PDF and simply mark the invoice as sent. Either way, the status moves from draft to sent. Then come the statuses that really matter to you. Viewed when the client has opened the invoice. Partially paid when they have paid a deposit. Paid. And overdue as soon as the due date has passed without full payment. To collect, you choose Record a Payment, and you enter the amount and the date. If the amount is partial, CassKai keeps the invoice open for the outstanding balance. On files configured for it, you also have a payment link to send to your client, and collection by mobile money, which is particularly useful in West Africa. You will also notice in that menu an entry for sending to electronic invoicing. That is a module in its own right, it has its own video, and its availability depends on your country. Let us be clear. In France, issuing through an accredited platform is operational. In Ivory Coast and Benin, the connections to the tax authorities' platforms are built on their official specifications, and accreditation is underway. for Senegal, Burkina Faso, Togo, Mali, Niger, and Cameroon, the obligations are enacted, but the authorities have not yet published the technical specifications that would allow a connection. We follow each timetable, and we develop as soon as they appear. We would rather tell you this than show you a button that would send nothing. One last point, and it matters in accounting. An invoice that has been sent cannot be deleted and cannot be modified. If you need to cancel it, you go through Cancel and create a credit note. The credit note carries its own number in the AV format, and it reverses the invoice properly. That is the rule, and CassKai holds you to it. Invoicing is pointless if nobody watches the unpaid items. The module overview gives you the 4 figures that count: your invoiced revenue, what has been collected, what is pending, and what is overdue. That is your morning check. In the Invoices tab, you filter by status. Display only the overdue invoices, and you have your call list for the day. The Payments tab lists every recorded payment in order. If your terms provide for late payment penalties, the Penalties tab calculates them for you. And for the clients you invoice every month, the Recurring tab generates the invoices for you without you thinking about it. As for the View by Age of Receivable, the one that sorts your unpaid items into overdue brackets, it sits in the Reports module under the name Aged Balance. We saw it in the previous guide on financial statements. And now the point that saves the most time. Every invoice creates its own journal entry. At creation, the entry is prepared as a draft. As soon as the invoice leaves the draft status, the entry is posted. You can see it from this green badge, Accounting Document, on the invoice line. Click it, and the entry opens with the client account debited and your revenue and VAT accounts credited. You entered nothing. In other words, a company that invoices in CassKai keeps its sales accounting effortlessly, and all that remains is to match the payments against the bank movements, exactly as we saw in the Treasury Guide. Let us recap. You set up the client list, the legal details, and the logo once and for all. You create the invoice, numbered automatically, and you check it while it is still a draft. You send it, you collect payment, and you go through a credit note if you have to cancel. You track your receivables through the statuses and the overview, and your sales accounting takes care of itself. In the next guide, we move on to the closing and to SYSCOHADA tax obligations with the generation of the statistical and tax return. See you very soon.